relax.
Brandon Herrera may talk tough, but Texans know a fake when we see one. Herrera's not one of us.
Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Sawtooth Tactical. And in this video, we are going to talk about Brandon Herrera because he is running for Congress, District 23 in Texas. I'm not in Texas, I'm in Idaho. But I've always said for years how nice it would be if we had somebody in the government that was one of us. Somebody that cared about the same things we do. Brandon Herrera is a Second Amendment absolutist, as am I, as are probably many of you. And he's running against Tony Gonzalez, who is a total rhino, who has gone against the Republican Party in many things, including gun control, and has even been censured by the party because of it. And now he is bitterly attacking Brandon Herrera in all kinds of ads, in CNN TV appearances, and the fight is pretty close, and so Brandon needs as much support as we can give him, whether you live in Texas or not. The most recent thing that Tony Gonzalez has said about Brandon Herrera is that he is a neo-Nazi and that he's running around in a white hood in broad daylight. Well, I've been following Brandon Herrera for a long time, and he is absolutely not a neo-Nazi. If anything, his last name is Herrera. But Brandon Herrera really cares about our country. He really cares about the Second Amendment. He's not a politician. He's not the hero we deserve, but he might be the hero that we need. So the thing is Brandon, he was sitting there in Texas. He moved to Texas. He's not a native-born Texan, but you don't have to be to run for Congress in your district. But he cares about his country. And he was sitting there and realizing that the representative for his district, District 23 in Texas, Tony Gonzalez, did not seem to care about the country and did not hold the same values that Brandon and other Texans and other Americans did. And so he decided to run against him, and he primaried him. So in Texas, you have to get at least 50% of the vote in order to win. Well, Tony Gonzalez did not get 50% of the vote, and Brandon Herrera got second place. And so now they are in a runoff. And just so that you have an idea about Tony Gonzalez, he has voted, like I said, against the Republican Party. And I'm not saying that the Republican Party is the best thing in the world. Republicans have made tons of mistakes. But it is typically the Democrat Party specifically that goes out of their way to get gun control passed. And they would like us to own nothing that I have on the wall behind us. And have to be able to rely on the government. Well, Tony Gonzalez is the same way. In fact, he voted for the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. This is, like Joe Biden likes to say, the biggest piece of gun control legislation in 3 decades, which is responsible for things such as this new ATF rule about who is engaged in the business of being an unlicensed firearms dealer. I did a video about this very recently, and they just had this new rule, which technically is considered law because it's part of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, saying that if I sold this pistol to you, even if you are not a prohibited person, well, I am now engaged in the business of selling firearms and I'm not an FFL, so therefore I'm an unlicensed gun dealer. So this is something that Tony Gonzalez has voted for. He's also voted to keep our borders open. He's voted on a number of issues that don't align with what his party believes in and what most patriotic Americans believe in, especially gun owners. Quick word from this video's sponsor. I've been using Aura now for a couple of months. I know you guys have seen it in my videos if you've been watching, and it's a product and a service that I really actually believe in at this point. It has totally stopped me from getting spam calls. Now, data brokers are a real thing these days. Scammers, spammers, all this stuff. I've been trying to sell a pickup truck lately, and at first all I was getting was scammers. Well, Aura took care of that, and I'm not hearing from the scammers anymore. Unfortunately, I still haven't sold the truck, But I've got a lot of examples like that. In fact, the place where I work just recently got scammed and we lost out on a whole day's worth of revenue. Well, Aura can stop things like that from happening. They search the entire internet for anywhere where your information is being sold to people, and they submit opt-out requests on your behalf, which takes care of your information being out there. It clears you up so that you stop getting spam calls, you stop getting scammers. There are people out there these days whose whole career is just scamming people out of their money by finding their information on the internet. And as sickening and as sad as that is, it's a reality. And for only $12 a month, you can stop them from being able to take advantage of you. If you use my link, which is the first link in the description, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical, you get to try it out free for 2 weeks. And then you can decide if it's something that you still want to stick with. But Aura is pretty confident that you'll stick with it, and that's why they give you that 2-week free trial. $12 a month after that is a really good deal for all of the different things that you get with Aura. I've been sticking with it for a few months. I'm really happy with it. I respect my privacy and I respect yours. So Brandon Herrera is running against him, and he's doing fairly well. Brandon does not have the kinds of political chops, for one thing, that Tony Gonzalez has, and he doesn't have the war chest behind him that an established politician like Tony Gonzalez has. Now, Tony Gonzalez does not want to lose his job. He wants to keep his job because there are lots of benefits to being in the US government that really shouldn't have anything to do with the job. Well, Tony wants to keep those benefits, and he wants to do whatever he can to play the politics thing and not help Americans with what they want. He's supposed to represent the people in his district, and he does not. Well, I think Brandon Herrera would represent the people in that district, and in fact, Americans as a whole. And I think that whether you live in Texas, in District 23, or somewhere else, I'm in Southern Idaho, I think that it is worth supporting Brandon Herrera. Things like getting this video out, or if you can donate to his campaign. These things will help him. It takes a lot of money to run a campaign. So even if you can just donate $5, that will help Brandon Herrera's campaign. And anything that we can do to help him win, I think is worthwhile. I've never made a video supporting any politician before, but I don't believe that Brandon Herrera is a politician. I don't know Brandon Herrera personally, although he did comment on one of my videos. When he first started running, I actually made a video about him then. Now, this was many months ago. But now as I've watched things unfold, and I've watched Tony Gonzalez put out attack ads on him, and like I said, not knowing Brandon Herrera personally, but having watched his channel for many years now, I've got a pretty good idea of who the guy is, and he is not these things that Tony is saying he is. He's just a patriotic American, loves his country, loves guns and the Second Amendment, and wants us to be able to keep our rights, and in fact, get the rights that have been stolen from us back when it comes to firearm ownership, the right to keep and bear arms. And I think that that is really important, because even the politicians that are pro-Second Amendment, it doesn't really seem to be their priority. And with Brandon Herrera, it is his priority. And I think that's very important, because it is also my priority, as I'm sure it is for many of you. When I first started this channel, I didn't plan on talking politics at all. My original idea for Sawtooth Tactical was specifically to talk about guns and gear, firearms and accessories. And what I quickly realized after a first few months of this is you cannot have a platform and speak to the gun-owning public without dealing with the politics surrounding the Second Amendment, because our rights are constantly being attacked, specifically by the left. And so when there's a politician like Tony Gonzalez, who is supposed to be a Republican, but is also attacking our rights, we need to get people like that out of office. And when we have the opportunity to get someone that is very pro Second Amendment, that is a Second Amendment absolutist like Brandon Herrera is, I think that that is an opportunity that we need to grab a hold of and do everything that we can to support and back someone like that. And so that is why I'm making this video. And that's why I make a lot of the Sunday videos about political things and Second Amendment news these days. Because while it sure is fun to go out and shoot, and I love building guns, shooting guns, showing that stuff on the channel, and I'll always continue to do that, I also think that it's very important that all of us, and me just being in the position of having this channel, that we do our part to protect the Second Amendment. And I think that Brandon Herrera is really stepping up to the plate to do his part to protect the Second Amendment, and he deserves all of our support. So if you agree with me, please let me know down in the comments. If you disagree with me, please let me know down in the comments. I will reply to you. And also, if you do agree with me, see what you can do to support Brandon Herrera for Congress, whether you're in District 23 in Texas or not. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Please share this video. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.
Bob Good endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.